Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome back once again to the Ora News broadcast. I'm Daniel Cook, your host for the English edition, Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. The International Monetary Fund has given assurance that the Greek financial crisis will not affect the Albanian economy, or at least that the effects will be very minimal. The chief of the IMF mission says that the banking system is safe, but he encouraged the government to be attentive to every new development. He made the following statement today. We talked with the authorities about the impact that the Greek crisis may have in Albania, especially in the banking sector. It will not affect the banks at all, because the banks in Albania are already liquid. The Greek banks in Albania are independent from their parent banks. If there is any risk, it is very low. The exports to Greece are very small, and in our judgment, the impact of this crisis on Albania will be very low, he said. The head of the IMF mission also said that the economic growth in Albania is expected to improve in the second half of this year. The Bank of Albania Governor Gent Seiko also gave assurance that the banking system is liquid and that he does not foresee problems because of the Greek crisis. The country of Greece has until midnight tonight to decide whether or not to accept the latest bid made by the European Commission. The deadline was set by the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who reiterated that the door remains open for Greece. The president of the EC proposed a last-minute bid, which requires the Greek Prime Minister to vote in favor of the bailout in Sunday's referendum. In return, Athens will get their existing program postponed and a restructuring of the Greek debt. The chances that the Greek Prime Minister will accept this bid are thought to be slim. This news came after the Greek Minister of Finance confirmed that Greece will make a payment today of €1.6 billion to the International Monetary Fund, recognizing the bankruptcy of the country. Greece is considering suing the European Union at the International Court of Justice because expulsion from the Eurozone is not covered in any treaty signed between the member countries. The Greek Ministry of Finance has announced that it will reopen 1,000 banks throughout the country, only to serve the retirees who were alarmed because they found the ATMs empty and could not collect their pensions. The Tirana Business Park is the largest German private real estate investment in Albania. It is located near the Mother Teresa International Airport, and it is divided into two main areas, the project development area and the resale area, each of them 110,000 square meters. The project development area will be dedicated to offices, retail space, commercial areas, shops, food services, storage, internal and external parking spaces, and supporting services. The resale area will serve any demand that arises, with the intention of conforming to the needs of the customers. This ambitious €100 million project is being implemented by the Linder Group of Germany. The project is expected to employ about 10,000 people. A representative of the investor had this to say, "Our work is to create an innovative business community in your country. We see Albania as the country with the biggest potential for development in the region. We are encouraging others to invest here as well." Prime Minister Edi Rama, the German Ambassador Hoffmann, and the new mayor, Erion Veliaj, were invited to the inauguration ceremony. Mr. Rama said that this is a good opportunity to increase the revenue in the state budget. The German investments bring not only money, employment, and economic increase, they bring a new culture of doing business and a new culture of working, which we really need to learn, said Prime Minister Rama. The newly elected Tirana mayor, Erion Veliaj, had this to say, "This construction is one of the investments we will continue to encourage in Albania." According to the German ambassador, the Tirana Business Park is the biggest investment from Germany after the investment made in Mother Teresa Airport. By the year 2022, 17 buildings will be erected, with a total area of approximately 176,500 square meters. 3,600 parking spaces will also exist. The Russian ambassador to Albania, Alexander Karpushin, was invited to be a guest last night on our program Tonight Il Vetare. He spoke about the relations between Russia and Albania and said that the Russian investors are very interested in Albania and are willing to undertake big projects in our country. The Russian ambassador commented on a sensitive issue for the Albanian community, the idea of Greater Albania, which is seen as a risk in the Balkans. He said that the concept of Greater Albania still exists, but our task is to prevent it from ever taking form. Our joint task is to prevent this concept, he said. We know that the Balkan region has great potential for conflict. Our challenge is to prevent conflict in this region. Mr. Karpushin connected the much-debated concept with conditions of Albanians in Macedonia. According to him, Albanians who live in Macedonia have no reason to complain about their rights. He gave some examples of what he has observed in Macedonia. When I travel to Macedonia and I see the homes of the Albanian community, I can say that they look better and more comfortable than the apartments in which most Macedonians and Slavs live. This means that Albanians are hard workers, more ambitious, and live in better conditions. I don't think that they are right when they complain that their rights are not being respected. We must not create destructive rhetoric in this aspect, he said. The ambassador also commented on the independence of Kosovo. He said that he's happy to see the dialogue between Belgrade and Pristina move forward, and he's convinced that this is the right path. The head of the Russian diplomatic mission says that if Serbia recognizes Kosovo, then Russia too will change its stance. Once Serbia recognizes Kosovo, I am convinced that Russia will change its position as well, he said. As far as Serbia is concerned, our engagements are determined. With Serbia, we have very old historical ties, but our scope is to develop friendly ties between our countries, said the ambassador. After a lawsuit filed by the Socialist Movement for Integration, the prosecution has launched a full investigation into the allegations of fictitious voters being added in the city of Vora. So far, it turns out that around 600 of these falsified voters do not live at the addresses that were filed. According to the official data from the investigation team, there were 150 families that were registered in a suspicious manner. It was suspected that they had been registered fictitiously as Vora citizens when in fact they did not live in the district. The prosecution issued an order for them to be questioned, but the police have now confirmed that they do not live in the houses in which they were registered, or even in the city of Vora. The prosecution has learned that a large majority of them are immigrants living abroad, and the police have sent a list of their names to the border points of the country. The Democratic Party chairman Lulzim Basha held a meeting today with the head of the ODIHR mission in Albania, Audrey Glover. Mr. Basha expressed his concern that the standards were not upheld in the local elections of June 21st. Basha told the media that he familiarized Glover with the violations and vote buying that took place. The meeting with Mrs. Glover was very productive, he said. We talked about the violations of the electoral process. The Democratic Party is in the process of drafting a detailed report on the violations of the electoral standards, which started at the beginning of the electoral campaign and culminated on Election Day. We share common concerns with the ODIHR in terms of vote purchasing, the use of criminal gangs, forgery of identification cards, and pressure on the public administration, said the Democratic chairman. He added that the violations have already been documented and that the opposition will be battling against this manipulation. That concludes our news for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Please be with us again tomorrow at the same time for more translated news in English. Thanks, and have a great night.